Now, live from Whitney Media, 1460 WVOX, the Greenburgh Report with Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner. You can join in the conversation at 914-636-0110. Now on 1460 WVOX, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Good morning, Westchester. I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and we have a really interesting program. If you're a parent and you're looking to provide your child with STEM enrichment and opportunities that many other students don't have, this program is definitely for you. My guest is Matthew. He's a lifelong Westchester resident. He graduated from the Hartsdale School District, and he's co-founder of NORY, NORY. It's New York City's lead STEM enrichment organization. Their signature programs include robots and chemistry and entrepreneurships for children's K through 5th grade. And we are really pleased. Matthew, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much. As you mentioned, I am a lifelong Westchester resident. I'm really excited to be with you. And to share a bit more, I mean, we did start our program in New York City, and we're still thriving in this city, but about a year ago, we also expanded to Westchester, so happy to share a bit more about, our launch here.
Can you tell us why a parent who really wants their child to excel might want to consider the NORY program?
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much. So first and foremost, I'm a parent myself. I have 2 young daughters in the Hartsdale School District. And when I co-founded this program, we really wanted to focus on putting an equal emphasis on teaching children really valuable soft skills that we just thought were paramount. First and foremost, that we want our own children to learn and develop, and then, of course, something that, all children can really benefit from. So the 3 soft skills that we identified as being really integral were inquisitiveness, empathy, and grit or determination. And these are just soft skills that children will need to grow and advance to be successful, to be successful people lifelong. So we really interweave these soft skills into our STEM curriculum and put an equal emphasis on instilling these soft skills.
That is great. And what's your website, by the way?
Oh, sure. So our website is, thanks so much, it's www.NORY. It's NORY.co.
And are most of the programs held, after school? And what do you do that, say, the typical school district does not do?
Yeah, great question. So we offer a variety of programs. So we offer traditional after-school enrichment, both independently at our own enrichment studio. In Westchester, it's located in Hartsdale at 142 North Central Avenue. But we also offer our after-school program within schools. So currently, or pre-pandemic, I should say, we were offering our after-school program at Dow's Lane, in Concord Road, the Greenville and Sealy schools, and Westchester Torah Academy as well. And then, of course, in many, many schools in New York City and Brooklyn. We also offer school vacation camps. So anytime schools are closed, we typically have programming. For example, this upcoming spring break from March 29th through April 2nd, we have programming, and then all the other traditional off-school days like Columbus Day and Veterans Day and so forth. We also do, of course, one of our largest operations, our summer camp program, which is a week-long program, or it's 8 weeks, but each of the programs are for 1 week each. So those are the main programs that we provide. We also do some ancillary things. Birthday parties are not something that we advertise, but something that parents really ask us and request of us after attending our program. And we do some really cool robot building birthday parties too. And then one other thing I should mention this year to help support both parents, both our own teachers, of course, and also schools, we were providing, and we still are providing, educational learning pods. So that was meant to support schools, and it was, for children who have been, like my own daughters, who've been going to school only a few days a week and then learning virtually the other days. We were providing educational support on top of our STEM curriculum teaching on those school days. So those are the sort of four programs that we provide. And since the pandemic, we also but we, obviously saw a need for virtual programming. So currently we have in-person and also virtual programming for families who are, still looking for the virtual aspect.
We have to take another break, and we'll be right back in 5 minutes. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and we have a really interesting program today. We're talking with Matt Trainor, and he's talking about opportunities that could really help your child thrive. So thank you.
Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Good morning, Westchester. I'm Paul Feiner, and we have a really interesting program today. My guest is Matthew Trainor, and as said during the break, Matt is the co-founder of NORY, New York City's leading STEM enrichment organization, and they have a signature program including robots and chemistry and entrepreneurships for children K through 5th grade. And Matt, thanks for joining us again. Could you tell us a little bit about the robot program?
Yeah, of course. My pleasure. So our robotics program is entirely hands-on and project-based. So it's really about physical computing. So it's about introducing children to different types of circuits, things like DC motors and the yellow T motors, Arduino boards, and then using that technology, to make something that can move, or using it to form a different type of robotic output, like adding a buzzer to make a creation come to life, or a light. So it's really hands-on, project-based. And as I shared previously, again, although we do put a strong emphasis on teaching hard skills about robotics for sure, everything that's interwoven into our curriculum is also an equal emphasis on teaching children about the soft skills. So before we introduce a project, we have a curriculum team that develops a story or a situation or a character that children will listen to and hear and empathize with, either a situation or a character that they can relate to. And then from that's when they have to, there's going to be some sort of problem that they have to identify in the story. And from that, then they get to make this really cool project to help solve the problem. So that's sort of how we interweave the two for our robotics track.
That's great. Why is it important for children at a very early age to learn about robots and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, absolutely. I think we see where jobs are going, and both of these skills. And we also, when students age up a bit, beginning at the age of 7, we also do have coding programs as well. So those hard skills are sure going to be extremely valuable in the near future and beyond. But also, as I mentioned, the soft skills, with our entrepreneurship track, which is a week-long camp program, it's really about teaching children what it takes to start and run their own business. And from that, again, we identify those soft skills that, the greatest entrepreneurs all typically tend to have, the Elon Musks, et cetera, not being afraid to make mistakes and risk-taking, and obviously problem-solving as well. So sure, there's huge value in that. And
do kids learn about business skills even at kindergarten or first grade?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our entrepreneurship track the philosophy is the same, but it's a distinct program from our STEM, our robots and chemistry track. And for the entrepreneurship track, that starts a little bit older. So we identified about second grade is when we, at least for our curriculum, was appropriate to start teaching them about that. And yes, with our week-long entrepreneurship camp, again, an equal emphasis is spent on teaching children about soft skills and bringing those out. But certainly we also talk about, there's a day spent on marketing, identifying a market, how to interact with customers. And all those hard skills are taught as well.
Do the schools teach coding? Is this something that, most schools are providing, and are you sort of supplementing most of the programs relating to robots, chemistry, or is this, type of program, the NORY program, sort of exclusive to, people who could afford to send their kids for additional enrichment?
Sure. I think it certainly varies by the school. I think generally most coding programs and coding skills, at least at the elementary age, are coming from outside enrichment like NORY. At my own daughter's school, they have a computer science class where they introduce children using Hour of Code, and they send information about that. But I think, yes, for children who really want to develop it, from a teacher, then I think it's, at least from my experience, it's been best supported by outside enrichment.
Right. Now, you're located at 142 North Central Avenue in Hartsdale?
Yes, our Westchester branch is, exactly. It's a great space. I was really excited when I saw that it was available a little over a year ago for a number of reasons. It's a large open space. It's great for what we like to call a maker space. We have 3D printers and laser cutters here, which is gets kids really excited and makes our operations a lot exciting too, and makes our projects really stand out. It's really a large open space. It's bright, it's sunny, and the proximity to the park is just adjacent to our center, which is fantastic for, once the weather cooperates for the school vacation camps.
That is, great. And again, is there a phone number for your Hartsdale office?
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much. Yeah, the best phone number. And I'll share my an email as well, if it's okay. The phone number would be 914-557-8694. And the email is Matt, M-A-T-T, at NORY.co. So Matt at NORY.co.
And I guess one of the advantages of taking these extra programs is by the time a student, is taking the classes in school, they already have the foundation. So they're going to excel with robots, with computers, with chemistry, just have an easier time getting into Harvard, I guess.
I mean, yeah, if that's a goal, absolutely. And also, especially because our program's been around a lot longer in New York City. We co-founded it in 2015. My co-founder and I and other teachers, it's so easy for us to identify students who have been to our program multiple times. They're more confident, they're more outgoing, empathetic. So, yeah, there's a lot. Those soft skills are really being taught here.
Great. We have to take another break. This is a little shorter, and we'll be back with Matt Trainor right after this break in a few minutes. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
Now, back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, this is Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and my guest has been Matthew Trainor, and we're talking about a really innovative program that he started that helps kids excel at a young age. Matt, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to go into this business?
Yeah, of course. So my background is in education, sort of a mix of education and business. I was a teacher. I taught English abroad in Taiwan for about a year and a half, and I taught more traditional English in Westchester County for several years. But I also have my MBA from Boston College, and my focus was on entrepreneurship and venture capital. So I always had ambitions to start my own business. But, I love children. I love teaching. I love education. So this was sort of the best of both worlds. And the inspiration for NORY and starting this really came from my own children and my co-founder's child. We, again, as I shared briefly, we identified skills that we thought were maybe being under-taught in traditional schooling for children, the soft skills, and we wanted to put this greater emphasis on that. That's how we co-founded the program. And yes, about myself, I graduated from Hartsdale High School. I went to undergraduate in Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania. As I shared, I've been a teacher. I've taught abroad. I've lived in Boston, of course, and now back as a Westchester resident and raising my own children here.
That is, great. Do you feel that coding is? I remember a number of years ago, I was trying to set up a coding program for kids at the Greenburgh, school district. Are there a lot of great jobs now for students who understand coding, or does everybody out of school now understand coding?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, I think there's still a great need, and having really having that skill set is impressive, and you can get great jobs if that's your passion and what you want to do with coding. But I think at the same time, it's also great to have at least an elementary understanding of it. It really helps, it helps children and then young adults with problem solving. If you have ambitions about starting your own business, there's huge value in that. So again, I really think that if you're devoted and spend a lot of time learning actual coding, I think there are definitely still a lot of great jobs out there. And then the other things I mentioned about having a good, even a basic elementary understanding of coding is still impactful, even if you don't want to become a professional, developer in the future.
Right. In terms of the cost of the programs, how expensive is it?
Sure. Our after-school programs are traditionally, in Westchester, they're $30 a class per child, and we have a 5% sibling discount. And each class is 1 hour in length, and the typical semester runs for about 10 to 12 weeks, depending on school holidays. And our summer camp program, we offer some pretty significant early bird discounts, which are still applicable, and I'm happy to share the promotional code here in just a moment. The weekly pricing for our STEM camp is $550, and that's a week of camp. And a promotional code that you can use for 10% off is code Westchester, and it's not case sensitive. And the sibling discount also applies at our camps.
And how many hours is the summer camp?
Sure. So the actual hours are from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday. And in Westchester, our camp starts the week of June 28th, and it runs for 8 weeks until August 20th. And the hours, again, are 9 to 3, and we do have early drop-off at 8:15, and we have an extended care for, working families or parents who are looking for that as well until 5 o'clock daily.
Do you know if the summer camp, how the fees compare, say, with traditional camps?
Yeah, that's another great question. I think It really varies. I mean, if you're looking at other, and what I would also want to highlight about our summer camp is it is a robots and chemistry, robots and science. The focus and emphasis is on STEM, but it's very well rounded. We have a partnership with a soccer organization, so we have sports. We have daily outdoor time, so it is a really robust experience. In some of the more larger camps that you might be thinking about in Westchester County, I mean, we have some great camps, of course, like Elm and some others. I mean, those are a bit more expensive than NORY. And then some of our, some of the STEM enrichment organizations in Westchester, I think the pricing is pretty consistent. I think the biggest, not cost, but how we've identified our cost structure, and the biggest differentiators for us, number one, is we have a lead teacher, an actual teacher who's teaching at our summer camp, which is not the norm at some other day camp programs. And also our material cost. I mean, everything is project-based, hands-on, so they're really using advanced technology, and they're using things, and they're building, and they get to take it home with. So I think our pricing is, pretty comparable and pretty consistent, pretty fair.
That is great. Now, you also had virtual programs?
We do. We absolutely do. We have both a coding virtual class and virtual camp, which is with Roblox. And then we have a virtual robots and chemistry, which our goal was to make it as close to our in-person camp experience as possible. And we really developed this about a year ago now in March, when schools and basically everyone was, quarantined and shut down. So we really knew that what are children going to miss the most? They're going to miss the socialization. So our goal with our virtual robots and chemistry track is to, one, focus on, we have small group sizes, focus on social interaction. So we want children talking to each other, communicating with the teacher. We use breakout rooms for Zoom pretty often. And then two, we didn't want, we really wanted the projects to still be robust. So we invested a lot of time and energy in, one, thinking about and customizing our projects to make them independently led. So we wanted parents to be able to, allow their children to do it independently, because we know a lot of families are still we're still working and are still working from home, and they need, time to work. And what we did and what we do is we prepare all the materials that children will need in our office, and we ship them and deliver them to families. And kids get really, really excited. We have a bunch of unboxing videos when they receive this really cool NORY box with all their goodies for either the camp day or for the camp week.
That's great. We have to take one final break, and we'll be right back with Matt Trainor, and we're talking about the NORY experience that may be helpful to your child. So in a couple minutes, we'll be right back on Paul Feiner.
WVOX. Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, this is Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and I'm really thrilled to be here today. We're talking with Matt Trainor, who is providing young people, students as young as a kindergartner, with the opportunity to interact with robots and chemistry and start learning business skills. For a kindergartner, what are some of the benefits of starting that young?
Yeah, great question. I think it's never too early to get technology in children's hands. So the earlier, I think the better. It just becomes more natural for them to want to explore what a circuit is, what a robot actually is. And I mean, you can imagine the types of excitement and the lighting up of the eyes when they see when they make something move and make something make a buzzer sound. It's really fantastic. So yeah, I mean there's a great value in that. And then, of course, the soft skills that I mentioned, I mean, it's obviously never too early to instill those skills. And we really use robotics and STEM as a vehicle, as a way to instill those skills in children as young as kindergarten.
Could you tell us a little bit about the chemistry program?
Yeah, of course. So chemistry, it's a great, everything that we do in our STEM program is hands-on and project-based. So, chemistry, science, we introduce them about different types of experiments, what a chemical reaction is. They really get to experience science and chemistry using hands-on and making it really fun. So I think another benefit of starting to teach children about our type of science concepts and chemistry concepts at such a young age is as they get older, they're not intimidated by it. And also a little bit more about the program itself. Just as we do with our robotics program, children will hear a unique short story or situation where they have to use science or use chemistry to solve a problem. So again, that philosophy, that educational methodology is very consistent throughout our program.
That is great. You have a pod on your website. What's the pod enrollment?
Yeah, of course. So educational learning pods were started, out of a need last March. Once, unfortunately, when schools were shut down completely for in-person learning, and then when schools went back in person just temporarily or a hybrid model. So we understand, number one, from the parent side, we wanted to provide that support so parents can focus on their work and we can make sure their children are still getting a fantastic educational experience. And then also from the child's side, this is my personal opinion, but, children just learn so much better from in-person, both the hard skills and, of course, the soft skills. I mean, they really thrive. And I see that on a daily basis from our after-school program, at our day camps, how excited students are to be back and safely, of course, and responsibly with masks on and practical social distancing. But kids really thrive, and that's when they're with each other and communicating with each other and learning from each other. That's our pod started from both those needs. And our educational learning pods, we work with families because different schools obviously have different schedules. Different classes have different schedules on when students are in school and when they're not in school. So we work with families to be a support system for them and to complement their child's educational learning at this time. And we interweave, of course, our STEM curriculum. So at our educational pods, students are doing the robotic projects, coding programs, science and chemistry experiments, but certainly we're also there to support their child's their normal school day learning. And our teachers do that while the students are learning virtually on their laptop or their iPads.
Right. It seems like this is a very practical way of preparing kids for the jobs of tomorrow. As an educator, do you feel that our education system should sort of change and be more geared to the jobs that are going to be available rather than the traditional education that most schools currently provide?
Yeah, that's another great question. I do think that, with my own daughter and education, I hope that there's this less emphasis on, focusing on standardized tests and more focus on teaching children about and preparing them for this, the hard skills, of course, that we mentioned with science, technology, coding as well. But really more than that, the soft skills. So I hope it can be taught more in schools. Entrepreneurship is really that, and coding and STEM is really the future. And I think students will need these soft skills, and children will, and when they become adults, of course, will need these soft skills. I think that's what employers are looking for right now, and they will be in the future too.
Are there any grants that are available to like lower income households, or are there any federal or state or county programs that could provide children who are not as well off with the same opportunities?
Yes, of course. With our own program, we do have a number of scholarship programs, and we're trying to build that out, as we develop our program as well. So we do have a few scholarships, and the same, if it's okay, I can share my email address again, and, families can, or anyone can reach out to me to learn more about it. My email is matt, M-A-T-T, @NORY.co. So we do have that, and we're happy to work with families and schools as well. Beyond that, I would have to do a little bit more research to see if there, what formal or federal assistance there might be.
Right. Because I think that this is such a really great, great opportunity. We just have like about a minute left, and I just wanted to ask, during the past, year, I forgot you did mention the virtual classes, but have kids been meeting in person?
Yes. So we have been in last summer. Obviously just about a year ago today, right? In March is when sort of everything went on pause. We were just about to start our week-long, 2020 spring break camp, and that we had to cancel, of course. But for the summertime, we still were able to succeed, and we were very happy and proud that we safely held 4 in-person summer camps last year. 1 in Westchester and 3 in the city. Typically we have about 9, so it wasn't, a couple of our school partners in the city were not yet ready to reopen their doors, but we were very thankful and very proud that we were able to safely still have a summer camp. Of course, reduced numbers with all the safety measures that you can imagine in place, but we did hold both in-person and virtual camps last year, and we're doing that this year as well. We know there are some families who are still looking for the virtual, programming. That's totally fine, and we'll be there with that to support them. But we also know those families who are looking for the in-person camps and after-school programs, and we have those too.
And are the teachers, have most of them been vaccinated yet?
Yes. Thankfully, our organization, we are priority, so the vast majority of ours have been. I just got mine today. I'm really pumped.
Great. So thank you for joining us. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.